Yo, what is up, everybody? We have a special episode. Let us welcome the peanut butter and jelly of eBay. But before that, let's drop that beat. All right, that was my part of the show. Anna, take over.
Wow. Well, the good news for me, Ken, is that we're not the only ones in the studio today, are we?
Yep. Nope. We got a few people.
We do. We have 4 people. One notably missing person is Glenn, but don't worry, it's just because
he's prepping for his first boxing match. So Anna, let's leave Glenn to training and making weight, because that's a very serious fight that he's gonna have to win. So
He's
I thought it was like a
definitely
shipping thing. I thought he was like boxing up packages. His eBay store is just going crazy.
Glenn is actually a boxer,
yeah, he boxes.
but that's
I am too.
actually-
In my garage, I've got boxes.
Yeah, we are. We're
mean,
all
same.
boxers.
Last name Packer.
Hey,
That
that's
have some
true.
boxes lying around. Oh, you know, I throw that one out at like every yard sale where I'm taking an ungodly amount of stuff away with me. Yeah, every thrift store where I load up my car. Like,
I'm actually
don't
have
worry,
to-
my last name's Packer. It's all gonna fit in here, I promise.
I'm gonna change my name. I'm gonna get a fake ID called Ken Hoarder.
Ken Hoarder.
All right, so let's introduce our not new guests. Anna.
No,
Yeah,
they're
they've been here.
returning guests.
Yeah. Also.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
We're going to do a bit of a review, not even a review, more of
Yeah.
like a deeper dive on
In-depth,
some of
yeah.
some of our favorite things that were recently announced by eBay. And with us to do that and to help us and to bring the actual information to you is Chuck and Jonathan. And would you guys just briefly introduce yourselves for those who might not have ever heard you before, even though I can't imagine that to
Yeah.
be the
Let's
case.
start with Jonathan.
All right. I'm Jonathan Chard. I work at eBay as a seller advocate. You know, part of my job is to talk to sellers at events, read all the feedback you send us, try to synthesize that into like some areas that I can have the team focus on and like, you know, make your lives easier, the seller lives easier,
Oh, I like that.
Including us.
Yeah.
including you.
We are sellers.
And then Chuck.
And I am Chuck Van Pelt. Also work at eBay with Jonathan, doing the things he said. And I think the thing that makes me happiest is to give sellers a voice at eBay. If I summarized my entire job, what makes me get up in the morning is I love talking to sellers, and I love gently reminding our product development folks to hear their voices.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we
And
could even get, you know, people might say, hey, we're going to put this update out. You guys read this and let us know how do you think a seller is going to react to this? And we can, you know, try to guide it so it, you know, it lands a little better. Tells you why it's important, why we did it.
wow. That's
Yeah,
for
that's-
sure. Thank you.
That is super helpful.
Yeah, and also, you know, we have met you guys multiple times already throughout the years, and it's not just in words but also in action that we have, you know, sat down multiple probably hours right now already and counting that, you know, when you guys ask us our feedback, you know, you guys are always there to listen, give us some reports on where things are going and this things or this feature. So that's pretty cool. But before we start, and this is my question, like I ask everybody, you guys are sellers too, correct?
Correct.
That's correct.
So when you guys are sourcing, as of late, what's your go-to snack? Your go-to snack when sourcing as of late, because I always say you cannot go sourcing hungry because you start making the wrong decisions. So you can't go hungry. So we will start with Jonathan. What's your go-to snack?
Actually, it's a snack that I hadn't had for a long time, but last summer, garage selling, got reinvigorated. It is ranch flavored corn nuts.
Hold on.
And
Did you buy those at a garage sale?
No, they were at like an old hoarder
Okay,
house.
I was
estate
worried.
sale.
I was worried.
Oh,
No, they were
I
bought
was
at a
thinking-
7-Eleven.
It's
They
like
were
with their
so expired.
corn nuts.
Yeah.
Okay,
They get better with age.
Corn
I've
nuts.
had
Softer.
those. They're good.
I
Honestly,
haven't
like,
had
have
them.
Corn nuts. Yeah, they're these crunchy little
I'll
nuts.
get
And then
them. I'll get them.
some restaurants around Portland have their own like artisan
Version?
nuts, but they're not as good as a bag of corn nuts from the gas station.
The rain
and also like
one. I love it.
to be drinking one of these, it's a mate. You always got to keep energized,
Yeah.
keep it going.
Okay.
Love that.
Okay. I mean, that's a
And the
that's a good
occasional meat
suggestion.
stick.
Oh, that's a
The
good
occasional
suggestion.
meat
That's a good suggestion. All right,
sophisticated.
Chuck. What
Little
about
known
you?
secret, but Jonathan and I do during the summer. We live in the same city, Portland, Oregon, and it's very seasonal here with garage sales. And during the summer, we will go out together a lot to source. And so we have a tradition where we meet at 7 a.m. Get the stick to your ribs breakfast at some restaurant, and then we get the yerba mate caffeinated energy drink, and we hit the road. And yeah, like Jonathan says, the beef jerky / meat stick is a definite. Got to get that protein to keep you
It's
going.
protein,
through.
right? You
Oh,
gotta have protein.
Man, somebody put me on this. The brand is, I don't know how to say it. It's Mengua, Mengua. Have you guys heard of this
Never heard
beef
of it.
jerky? I'll get you guys
No.
some. Do you guys like spicy?
Sure.
Somewhat.
Okay. Somebody introduced me to him, Sneakers NV, when he goes crazy sourcing. That's all he eats. Yes. Oh, teriyaki flavor, Chuck. That's good.
Have my.
But, I'll get you
snack
guys
right
a
here.
bag. I'll get you guys a bag because so far the best beef jerky I've ever had.
Wow.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So, Anna, what about you? What's your being go-to snack lately?
I always forget about the snack thing. And
Yeah,
like,
you
I
even
should have
forget
snacks with
water.
me.
Who
I do.
forgets
It's
water?
terrible. It's terrible.
I've sourced with Anna multiple times and she's just like
Yeah.
dry.
I'm like, what? I will come up for air after this. I don't know. I don't feel any sensations. I can't tell.
I
No.
have to have snack. Like I walk in with coffee all the time
Yeah.
because it's just brain power basically.
I just don't like carrying stuff with me.
Yeah,
but
but-
I have started. If I'm going somewhere, I think I'm going to be there for a while. I have started thinking ahead, and I usually have at least like a bag of like roasted almonds or something.
Oh,
I can just
fancy.
eat like a
Roasted
handful of
almonds.
almonds, and I won't like.
Well, Jonathan gets like some.
You're
corn
so
nuts.
healthy, Anna.
Yeah.
I mean, they're no corn nuts, but they'll do in a pinch, you know.
Yeah.
here's-
But yeah,
my
it's got to be
go-to
salty.
is,
It's got to have a little protein.
Yeah.
the other go-to is you gotta have Dunkin' Donut munchkins.
Oh man.
You just grab them and then go start picking.
I would need a nap. I
Now,
mean,
you
I do
must
love.
work out a lot, Ken, because
Yeah.
if I ate nothing but munchkins and what else did you say?
But
Yeah.
but we actually walk a lot too, so while sourcing. So
that's
good.
true.
So
yeah.
oh well, that was my fun segment. Anna, you go to the serious
One
segment
other.
where
Can I add
go
one
ahead.
more thing
Yeah,
to
yeah,
that
yeah.
segment?
Yeah.
When I go to garage sales, I have a rule.
Mm.
If they're offering a free drink, a
Don't.
Jello shot, whatever, I will always take it.
Oh,
Like,
you always
A
take
Jello
it.
I always take it. I'm
You
like,
Wow,
What kind
that
of
got
sounds
some
garage
tall-
sales?
I
That
don't know if
sounds
it's
like
a Portland thing. It may
That's
be a Portland
funny.
thing, but I've seen so many garage sales with free Jello shots in Portland.
That is
Wow.
hilarious.
got
That's like a-
mimosas.
Or
Yeah.
beers. They'll be
Man.
like, "Hey guys, grab a beer. They're in the cooler,"
You know-
and they'll be like big local
Tall
brew
boys.
beers,
That
and they'll just give them away.
that has to be like a sales tactic
Oh, surely.
because
yeah, I
it-
think it is.
it gets
Gotta
you
at least pay for
going.
my
It kind of
beer.
like breaks down the wall that it's like, man, this guy gave me something. I can't lowball him. Like, yeah, I would decline all the time because
It's
that
just
means you owe me
interesting.
something. You guys
Yeah,
are too
the
nice.
different marketing techniques people have for their
Yeah,
garage
that's
sales.
nice.
That's
I've never.
really
You know,
heard of
one
that.
pro tip, we were talking about eating food while you're sourcing. I always take a container of like baby wipes with me. You got to keep the hands clean
Yep.
because
Yes.
you're digging in that hoarder house basement and it gets
Alcohol
dirty in there.
wipes. Yep, you have.
And then trying to like
Exactly.
eat your snack in the car.
Yeah, got to keep it clean.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Wow.
those are
Well,
some great tips.
Yeah, I
from
was gonna say
garage
those weren't
sailors.
even mentioned at the spring seller check-in, but
Yeah.
they're
These
great
are
tips
free.
nonetheless.
These don't even.
Yeah,
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 before you
yeah,
even
yeah,
start
yeah.
selling on eBay,
Yeah.
we've got.
See,
some
this is how you know the sellers are truly your people because you get it. Because you are sellers, and you live the life. You walk the walk. It's great.
Yep, and we're all boxers. We're all boxers, by the way.
Boxers, yeah.
Apparently. Okay, well, lest we digress even more, let's go ahead and talk about some of these topics because there actually were a lot of, I think, really interesting, really promising things that were discussed at the Spring Seller check-in. And we are going to link in the show notes to some of the video from the check-in if anybody hasn't seen it. But it's always fun to hear about, new developments on eBay, and some things were happening like more immediately than others. Some things were like bigger topics, like more overarching topics. But I just kind of wanted to run with you guys through some of the things that stood out to us the most, and maybe go a little bit deeper on some of them, just in the level of detail or kind of like how it applies to us as sellers and things like that. So that's kind of what we're going to do. The first thing I have on my list is that feature, which my first question is, what was the name of this feature? Because I can't remember. But it was where you can add a question that a buyer asks you and your answer to your listing, like at the listing level. And I thought that was really interesting because I think that was something that you used to be able to do a long time ago, but we haven't been able to do it recently. And so that is like feature has come back. That's my understanding. Do you guys know about that one?
Yeah, I think it's called like item Q&A, something like that.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's right.
It shows up a little bit below the description.
That
Yeah,
is interesting.
we did have something like that before, and I think it was never on the app. So I think that's one enhancement we made.
Yeah,
Making
so
sure
now
you can do it.
it'll be like on mobile. And I mean, I really like that because sometimes, buyers will ask you something and you're like, oh, well, maybe they could have kind of gotten to that conclusion by reading all the details in the listing, but that's kind of a good question. Like, might be
like
a good shortcut to
frequently
go ahead
asked
and answer it.
questions. Yeah.
To go ahead and
Yeah.
put that out front.
That's
But
good.
I mean, do you guys think that's something that when there was something similar before, was that something you used? Do you think that's something you'll use now? Will it come up a lot? Like, what do you think? And with the type of stuff that you sell?
I'll use it for sure. I think a lot of sellers get the same questions over and over, and they want to make sure that information gets out there, even if it is already in the description or some other part of the listing. It never hurts to have another outlet for that information. Jonathan and I have talked before about how in our app we do make the description sometimes is not as upfront as
Not
it is
as robust.
on our website. Yeah. So until we make changes there, I think that it's a good way to get information out there to buyers about the product. If you're answering it, if you're going to answer the question anyway, just answer it and check the box and have that included.
Yeah. Right. Like,
Yeah.
it can't hurt to have more information in there for a buyer who's like looking for all the details, right? That's funny though that you mentioned the description, because I have another note later in my kind of brain dump about the Spring Seller Check-in. I always take notes at those events because there's so much stuff and I don't remember the details off the top of my head. So I always take notes, and later on in my notes, I noticed that there was a lot of discussion about AI updates, which is great, and we're going to talk about that in a minute too. But a lot of people seemed very divided. Like, they love or they hate the AI description tool. And that's one thing that I actually have used it a lot. Like, even if I have to edit it a little bit, I still think it saves a ton of time. And I like having something in my description that's not just like a repeat of the title or whatever. I feel like that does add some kind of quality to my listing. But I was just curious, like, what would you guys say to sellers who insist that, nobody even reads descriptions? We hear this stuff a lot, right? Buyers don't even read descriptions. Like, nobody's going to look at it. It's pointless, or maybe they just don't like the style of writing of the AI or whatever. But, like, what would you say? Are there any other reasons to consider doing it? Like, does it help you at all in search or SEO reasons, or any other reasons you can think of?
I can take that one. I think that it's worth the time to do. Like, first of all, let me just say I hear those concerns, and I experience that as well. It's not it's not like the first time that anyone's told me that they're concerned that the descriptions aren't surfaced enough and that people aren't reading them. I think so. Just on the fact that when you're dealing with any kind of issues you may have with a buyer, having as much information as you can put into the description is only going to help you, right? When you're resolving issues. Now, is that good enough to justify doing it? No, I think there's additional value there too. I don't spend a long time making huge descriptions personally on my listings. I try to use it as a place to itemize all included items, for
Right.
example.
Like
Just
on
to
a
be really
lot
clear.
or like parts of, a group of stuff, right?
100%. Yeah, that's how I use it. I also use a lot of times people don't understand there's a description field and a condition description field.
Yeah.
And I utilize both of those. Again, both kind of hard to find on mobile, yes. But I think the condition description is a great place to make sure you're disclosing defects, putting all of the quality criteria about the item in so that later no one can say you didn't disclose those things.
Yeah.
So, pro tip, the condition description on web is actually in the first screenful that people see when they load the view item page.
Yep.
So you can use it kind of marketing wise. You can say, item looks like it's never been used or something like that. And you're literally going to see the first 8 or 10 words right below the price. It's literally in the buy
I see
box.
that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So even though it's hidden on the mobile platform, you still have that benefit.
Now I'm
So
gonna
I'll put
use
a little-
AI. I'm gonna use AI to describe this and make a marketing line for.
Well,
8
I don't
words.
think there's
Yeah.
Oh,
not AI description in the condition description.
No,
There's
no,
just-
not
It's
yet.
just in the regular description.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well-
I personally do like, a lot of people have, complained a little about it's really flowery or, it's a lot of unnecessary.
I like flowers.
This item will be perfect for any fashion forward woman or whatever, right? It says things like that. But I really like how it rounds up all the important details from the item specifics. And at least in my
adds it
experience
there.
recently, it's usually totally right on those. And there are times I'll delete, something later on, the second paragraph, if there's two, usually is that's where it's really scraping the bottom of the barrel. It seems like this item is red and the color is red and the department is women and blah, blah. And you're like, okay, that's a little much.
Yeah,
No thanks, don't
you
need
know
that.
when I use it the most is when I'm trying to sell an item that's out of my wheelhouse. Recently I picked up some hockey skates, and I just
Thought
the
you were a
most
boxer.
basics, right? The most basic, and then hit AI, and he
Like,
created
their
a
shoes
story.
with blades on them.
Yeah, he created
Yeah,
a
you're
story,
like, "Help
and I
me
was
out
like,
here.
wow.
Paint me a
I was
picture."
like, I could
It's
have
a must
said
for
better.
anyone who likes sharp shoes.
Yeah.
Wait, actually,
Right.
actually,
Super
don't.
sharp.
Pro tip: if you're selling something hockey, don't put blade,
Interesting.
Oh.
That is a pro
because
tip.
the blade
Interesting.
got me zeroed because of the word blade.
Oh, what?
Wow.
Oh, V-Road. Interesting.
Yeah, it was a
That is
zero.
interesting.
But the cool part about it is now there's a revision site. It doesn't just send you a blaring
Vero.
email like you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Now there's a revise. So it went through the whole process. My first time ever doing it. Revise, and then just deleted blade, and then just did hockey skates, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then next thing you know, revision approved. So it didn't,
You're
it
like,
didn't
"Ice
take it
hockey
down, or
skates."
because usually my experience with Vero is always they deleted the listing, you have to redo
Yeah.
it again. Now, so walk me through that. I guess we could talk about this a little bit too.
Yeah, yeah.
Jonathan, tell me about how this is a good thing now.
Yeah, it's totally a good thing. That's something we rolled out last year, because we always hear, hey, it got pulled down because you had the word blade in, and now you have
Yeah.
to go relist it and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So yeah, we were like, let's just put the listing on hold. Don't make the seller waste all that. That's
Yeah.
time you spent on
Throw
that first
away
listing.
their
Put it on hold.
efforts. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and and we're even. I just saw it in the future where we're going to have an easier way to even have sort and find those in your active listing page.
Mm-hmm.
Just try to bring them up to the surface, or hey, check these out, and
Yeah.
And then I think someday next level I would want to see us is stop it at listing time, even maybe
Yeah.
it's
Right.
as when you hit list it, say, hey, can
Because
maybe-
now I think the word onesie is already being stopped at listing.
okay, maybe Velcro is too.
Yeah, like
Some of
the
them
most
are, yeah.
common one. So maybe we just need to expand the dictionary of
pool.
this person.
Yeah. Ivory is not,
Not
a good
this
one to
person.
use.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
This computer. So
Yeah.
so that was cool. That was a cool discovery.
It's not
that
ivory, it's cream.
Yeah.
Cream.
Yeah, I know that
Off
is.
white.
So that is a new discovery that I did, so which is pretty cool.
Well, that's
Yeah.
I personally love when I hear sellers actually find something and like give us positive feedback about it, like when we didn't like ask them
Yeah.
for it, and like those are
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that
take
was
that back
that
to
was
the
a
team
really
and
fun discovery. I was like, because like I've had this before. I was like, oh crap! Like I wonder where we can sell this, because like that automatically triggered, like okay, I can never sell this on eBay, and then JC was like, my wife JC's just like, babe, it's not the brand that zeroed us that we cannot sell the product. It's actually the word blade, and I'm like, it makes sense because it could be like dangerous, right? We can't sell
Yeah.
like knife or like a weapon or something like that. So it's like, okay.
Also, it's because of the concept of a blade. There's not a brand called Blade. that
Yeah, yeah,
you're-
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
that's
was,
technically not a Vero. That's a probably trust and safety type
yeah,
block.
right,
But yeah,
right,
the
right.
same thing. They go into a queue now and let you
Yeah,
edit
yeah,
them.
yeah, which is really helpful. So now I'm not too like, now that I know that process, maybe that would be something that we could probably ask a lot other people too. It's like, hey, have you experienced this? Because obviously nobody wants to get this kind of hits of you cannot sell this item, but now I feel like that experience for me personally, I didn't even tell anybody this besides this podcast, that kind of like mellow down the trigger reaction of Vito. I was like, oh, who reported us? Like who hates on my listing? Oh, like eBay don't want me to make money. But no, it calmed me down. I was like, oh, there's this new features. Like, so I went through it and it was good.
Yeah.
that's great to hear because we're always focusing like high level like customer satisfaction. We call it
Right.
CSAT, and like something like that sounds like it gave you a higher
Yeah.
CSAT because you weren't now you're like
100%.
less stressed when you
I
get,
wish
like, a
there
Vero.
was a star rating after that. I would have put 5 stars. Tell them to
5
put 5
stars.
stars after that. To put like a rating. How was your experience, Ken? Were you triggered this time or not?
Well, can't read your mind. Sorry.
That's cool.
That's funny. Well,
Oh.
one more little note about the whole description thing is just, I think it is, people are very divided about it still, I think, but, I want to underscore what you said about it, Chuck, that just the more you can reiterate
Yeah.
the details about your item, the better. And I like having that one more place where you can put all the important details in one place.
I agree.
And another thing, sorry, Ken,
Go
I
ahead,
cut
go
you
ahead,
off
go ahead.
there.
No, you can.
Another thing with the AI is it's always getting better. I think
Yeah.
Anna, you
Yes.
even used it when we first rolled it out, and we sort of like retrained it to talk more like an eBay listing, and it got better.
Yes,
and so,
it's always getting better.
yeah. So the more people
And-
use it, the better we can. The more
Totally.
it runs off itself.
And
I
I was
think
going to
that's-
say, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
That's an important thing to reinforce is how quickly the technology is moving now.
Yeah.
And if so, eBay's trying to put things into the marketplace and find a balance about when is it mature enough to be effective for sellers versus okay, do we have to wait till it's perfect?
Right.
So
Right.
if a feature rolls out like AI descriptions and it feels a little awkward and weird, give it a little time because the AI models are learning so quickly that they're getting much better at
Yeah.
communicating. And also, even if it is a little awkward, you can edit it. You can go
Yeah.
in there and change a few things, and maybe it'll save you time. Like you mentioned earlier, Anna, it's getting really good at pulling out characteristics of the thing you're selling. Like really,
It is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good. It actually tells the story. I mean, even the sneakers when I use it for, because like like there are certain years that I forget on top of my head, and I click it and it actually tells like, oh, this was in 1985.
Yeah.
It creates a story. So I feel like in a very factual, right. Instead of just describing the product, it actually brings in like factual stuff too, like so which
From
is
like the catalog information,
mhm,
like
yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I would just say to anybody who likes it but isn't satisfied with it yet, use it because it needs tons of input to keep getting better.
Yeah.
And so I think it's true to say that the more we use it, the faster it gets better, basically, at what we want it to do.
And
So, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think I would like to see people using that more than spending time also adding all their rules and regulations and how they run their business in their description. 'Cause honestly, I
Yes.
feel that kind of turns buyers off, and it's like we already have
totally agree.
that information other places. Like
Right.
almost like, whoa, I'm scared to buy from you if you have so many of these rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
agree
totally
with that.
agree with
That's
that.
That's a tough one because I so feel for sellers when I see listings where the description contains 3 sentences of description and then 28 pages of boilerplate. Like,
28 pages.
and because I'm like, every one of those bullet points they put in there is probably a bad experience they had. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate how frustrating that can be. But I do try to remind sellers that your buyers, it's not their fault. They don't, if you subject them to that, then they get nervous and it can impact your sales. I try to I used to have boilerplate when I started on eBay, 100%. I thought, I'm going to be so smart and I'm going to head off all these scams and all this stuff. And in reality, it's been way better for me since I literally just started putting a couple of sentences and a bullet list of the items that are included, and I call it a day.
I would also challenge anybody who still has their boilerplate of all of that stuff to audit it at least and see what of these things has happened in the last 12 months. I bet a lot of it hasn't probably happened for years, and not at the scale that it would warrant having that in every single listing, right? And I think it's really helpful to point that out. It might be doing more harm than good because you might be scaring buyers away with it. Okay, they just think, because as sellers, we know how it is when we encounter a buyer and we're like, oh, we can see that trouble is coming. This person is gonna be trouble. It's the same way with sellers, to a buyer, right? Oh, this is gonna probably have some problems because they're just proactively so defensive about right, about problems.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. If you want to use those your rules and regulations, put them in there, but I'd always put the description at least at the very top, so you don't have to go scrolling through a bunch of pages to find the 2 lines. Have that below all your important bits.
Yeah,
and my advice is to look at, I love your idea about auditing your own boilerplate, Anna, and maybe think about what each of those issues that you're responding to has really cost your business.
Yeah,
and I think you'll find what I found is, I build in a baseline level for breakage, what you call breakage, like a deal going bad for some reason or other reason. And by doing that, I'm now so calm when something goes sideways, and I'm like, that was a $20 deal. I made, 40 other $20 deals this week.
Right.
I'm not so concerned about that. I can absorb it.
Humble brag.
Now I don't have to put another ounce of mental energy into it. I don't sit around anymore, and I used to do this. I'm one of these people. I don't agonize over they got one over on me or anything like that.
That's in the kind of same vein as returns already. When we talk about returns in our few podcasts, and we actually pull up all our returns and we start looking at the percentage, wow, that's actually not bad.
Guess
at
who
all.
had the lowest return rate, guys?
Yeah. Anna beat me by 0.04%.
By a mile.
And that's wild too, because you're doing
she does a lot of
pre-order clothing. That's tough.
Yeah, I know.
So somebody probably, it was just a hater returning stuff in my store. That's what it was.
Yeah,
what the most empowering thing has been for me? What's been so empowering for me as a seller is when I offered free returns for any reason and I pay for it. And I went into it as an experiment thinking, man, I'm going to lose my shirt here.
Yeah.
But the empowering part was every time I get that first message from a buyer with some concern about the
some
item.
quibble.
And it may be innocent, it may be whatever. And my instant response is,
just return it.
No problem. I take returns for any reason at my expense. And sometimes just saying that to a buyer, they're like, okay. It takes them from a 10 down to a 3.
But that's a boss.
This is a solvable problem now.
That is a boss move for somebody that actually knows his numbers, right? Because you cannot just say that, right? Because it's if you don't really know your returns and how much it will cost you. Because I did the math. If I went top rated seller plus with the amount of returns that I would get, will it offset the discount based on the labels that I was gonna have to pay? And it didn't equal out, because I was pro returns, free, everything like that. But when they did the numbers, it didn't line up, because shoes that are £4 cost
Yeah.
me 27
You make
bucks.
a really good point, Ken.
Right?
It depends on the category you sell in,
Like,
and
you
it's
have
not for
to,
everybody.
Yeah, because you
If you
have to
sell
know.
in fashion, clothing, things where people try it on and they don't feel it anymore,
Yeah.
then that is more risky than I sell more hard goods,
No,
collectibles,
yeah.
things where, an old camera, they're going to get it. It's either going to take pictures or it's not going to take
Yeah.
pictures. Nobody's like, I don't like how this camera feels or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't get that kind of
Yeah.
return volume. So it
Yeah.
works for me, but you got to look at your own.
Yeah, that's-
and maybe do your return policy on a per category basis.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
that's
Which
a
you
good
can
point.
do using business policies, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, which I want to talk about that too, because business policies got some airtime at the check-in. But before we get to that, there was the flip side of AI discussion that I was kind of seeing in the chat and stuff. So we talked about the description, which is a little more mixed reviews, but people are loving the photo background removal tool. And I think that's a perfect example of what you were talking about.
It gets better over time.
Yeah, about it getting
Yeah.
better over time, because it has made such strides. But I was laughing. I sent this to Ken and JC earlier this week because I removed the background. My favorite thing is like for clothes, especially.
She
All
just
I'm
does
gonna-
it for fun. I
No,
think she just
it
does
looks
it for
it looks
fun.
way better because I have like little imperfections in my white background that I use, and so when you remove the background but use the studio, like one of the studio options, it looks so good. But this time, like it's like usually like perfect. Couldn't have done it better myself. And then all of a sudden, I was photographing a pair of like track pants, and it added feet onto the bottom of the pants.
Yeah, it was
like,
just a cutoff.
that-
No
That was
body,
very
just
creative. I
Do they have
don't
shoes
think-
at least, or were they like bare feet?
They were like They were shoes, but they
No,
were like
it was
white
like a mannequin
shoes.
feet, right? Like, it was
Yeah,
like a mannequin
yeah.
feet. Yeah.
I would say like
That's
mannequin. feet.
interesting.
It didn't have like
Wow.
toes,
Yeah.
but it was really funny.
That was
So,
on. Were you like adding a background, or is that like just removing it?
I removed the background and then chose like the studio background to replace
Interesting.
the background.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
but that almost never happens.
No.
And at this point, it's like that's really funny to me when that kind of stuff happens every once in a while. But that's very much like the exception and not the rule. And I really rely on it now, and I use it all the time. So I think it's great. I've personally seen it, go really far, and I was happy to see people being so positive about it at the check-in as well. So.
Good. Hey,
Yeah.
can I ask a question
Yeah.
on the topic of showing feet or other body parts in
Oh my
eBay
God.
photographs? What's your stance on whether to show any like body part or skin in a photo on eBay? Is it okay?
As
When is it
was like
okay?
AI or like actual model?
No, just when you take
I
a
think
picture.
it's a lot more of
like,
when
is it okay for me
okay?
to take a picture of my hand holding this mug if I was
Oh
going to sell it?
no, I think because it's eBay, it's a marketplace. As long as it's not violating any rules, it should be in. Because there's this sneaker seller, lady sneaker seller, pretty nails, like just, I bet you she's a hand model on the side gig. She's a perfect hand, and she takes her photo holding the shoe.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not asking if it should be allowed. I'm asking if it's a good idea for a seller to
Yeah.
do at
I
all.
think if it's good looking,
If you have pretty nails.
yeah, if you have pretty hand and pretty nails,
I
if
am
you're
not
like
a hand model by any
like
stretch of the imagination.
I said, where I was going, Chuck, is use it to your advantage. Like if
Right.
like if I had pretty feet, I would put some slides on, but I don't have pretty
Yeah.
feet, so
Maybe I'm just influenced by. I mean, we've all seen the pictures that have. Someone puts an item on the floor and takes a picture, and then their feet are in the photo.
oh
Yeah. See,
And
that is
it's-
exactly what I was thinking of. That's what I don't want
Yeah.
to see.
yeah, those are kind of like because I was actually against AI removal and everything like that because I mean learn how to take a better photo. That's always my thing.
Yeah.
I'm just a hardcore like never settle, baby, get better over time. I don't use it, but to that point, if there's like feet or like like stained sheets in the background, before I was like, in my head I was like, they'll never buy it from him. But also now the mature Ken, guys, this is mature Ken, says that hurts us overall because we could turn off that one buyer that he could buy or she could buy it from me because I have a better photo, but got turned off by that feed photo or like that, the wrinkled background and everything like that. So now I'm all for it. So kudos to AI background removal. It helps us all. So see that eBay employees, your sellers are getting better too at the same time.
That's a very mature, mature Ken.
Yeah, very mature Ken. Yeah.
But thanks for announcing up front that this was the mature Ken. I don't know if I would have recognized him myself. So appreciate you.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think that we're setting up the guardrails right here, right now, folks. Is it okay to point to a little flaw on your item with your manicured fingernail? Yes. Is it okay to have your grocery store feet in the photo next to your item?
Grocery store feet.
Have you heard that before?
No,
like when your bottoms of your feet are all dirty. Anyway.
I don't have what I would consider to be attractive hands. I don't think they're bad hands, but I did buy a box of those white museum curator's gloves, the white cloth.
So
and
is that what
you just put those on,
gloves?
and then you're like, it's like everything's very clinical.
I think that shows premium because I've seen like
Doctor
like high end watch sellers. They have those, and when they take photos, it's like that is genius.
And then you're not getting fingerprints all over.
Well, it's more of like protecting the watch, really, right?
Yeah, right.
But it gives
and the
that
identity of
feel.
your hands as well.
Yeah, that's true, right? Because
I like that.
Oh.
There was one seller who had a YouTube or something where they said, they're in their school of thought is just never have your hand or anything in the photo because it's never going to help your sale, but it could always hurt. It's like don't even make the person think, oh, this was someone else's item. Make them think it's a thing they're buying off the shelf. Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost never make a photo like if I'm pointing at something or holding that's not my thumbnail photo. It's not what's going to be shown in the it might be like later on.
Yeah, there's only 2 people that watches it that goes to the photo number 10.
Yeah. Or like holding tags. Like sometimes I'm spreading out a few different tags that are all stacked together. Something like that. But I don't think it's ever going to necessarily help, but what I'm thinking about is, okay, I'm photographing 100 items today. Am I going to go get my little pointer and have to manipulate an extra tool to not put my finger in the foot? No, I'm just going to point to it and move on.
No, you just attach the pointer to your...
Just tape it to your finger.
Just tape it. I've seen people do that, like Barbie hands. Have you seen those toy hands?
Little teeny hands on the finger.
Yeah, did you see that?
Okay, that's funny. Yes.
It's kind of weird though. It's like, how is this that small? Like it's like that this point,
Why
and then
is
they
it
just
so small?
Yeah, it's actually smart. It's kind of like fun. It's like fun.
It's kind of fun.
Side note. I sold a pair of Gucci glasses that I wasn't wearing. I bought it and didn't wear. And you know how shade says reflection? There's just no way you'll take a photo of it without showing your face, right? No way, right? Because you cannot delete reflection, right? So what I did, I just smiled really well, like it was like my resume on the photo, and just smile like this. I did that, and it sold, guys. It sold. It sold.
Nice.
So me and JC was like,
well done.
See, that's what happened when I take the photo, because when they see the reflection, it just sells.
And you start holding up the shoes.
Yeah, right.
Do it like this.
Get your nails
Anything
done.
that sets you apart that in a positive way could be
That's what I think. That's what I think in a positive way.
That's what I was thinking, Ken, when you were talking about the sneaker seller with the really nice fingernails.
Yeah.
If you just see her listing in the search results, you know it's hers.
Oh yeah,
100%.
100%.
Nobody else does that, right?
Well, the crazy part is I actually got to see who this was.
You saw her face?
Yeah, I was sourcing in Florida, and all of a sudden, this is her. I saw her hand, and I saw the type of shoes she was buying.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And
you recognize her from her hand model pictures?
Yeah, and then just the hand and the type of shoes she was buying, because she always bought this specific Air Maxes, and she was always there. Every time I'm there, I was like, that has to be her. And then I start paying attention to what she bought. And then, a week later, it was on her eBay store. So I was like, oh, that's her.
You didn't say hi?
No. And now I'm the creepo.
I want to compliment you on your hands.
Now I'm the creepo.
I know. I feel like you should be like, you know who you are.
No, that's actually
you
what
don't
I
know
do.
who she is.
That's a pro tip on how I find my my competition. I just look at their basket and I pay attention to it, and then I just search it on eBay and have a save search, and as soon as it pings, they just listed it.
Then
I
you can
used to
tell.
do that to find at the bins to find other people's eBay accounts. I would see them pick up some really unique item.
Yeah, you
And then I would
just-
search for it in my city for like the next week, and then I'd find them.
Oh yeah, you'll find them. Yeah.
And you're like, haha, I know who you are.
Yeah.
It's not creepy at all, you guys. It's
No,
totally
I
fine.
just
What are
figure
you
out if
talking about?
they're
It's fine.
if they're a really good seller or a bad seller, because a lot of times they're a bad seller because they're just undercutting me. It's like, oh, it's that undercutter guy that had to wear a hat. So it's like, make sure we get that item before that guy does, because if he has it, then he's undercutting me.
Speaking of mirrors, have you seen that internet meme or whatever where they show people who are trying to take pictures of mirrors to like on eBay or
man.
Facebook
Oh,
Marketplace,
yeah,
and it's just like
so funny.
I
Yes.
just shared one in the chat. I don't know
I
if you guys
just
seen
saw it. Yes,
Man,
I just looked at it.
if I could
That's
ship
funny.
mirrors that easy through eBay, I'd probably do it, and it would be just it would be just fun. It would be just funny. I think they would buy it because it's just
I mean,
funny.
you could.
Yeah,
You could do it as a for fun experiment.
I'm gonna start buying mirrors from TJ Maxx and some from Ross, like the small ones. I'm gonna do it and see if I make money. I'll let you guys know.
Okay, let us know. You'll have to see if the Gucci glasses thing holds, carries over to other items,
I like that.
other reflective items.
Uh,
Well, okay, I'm going to move on a little bit here, but it's another thing that had a really great reception at the Spring Seller Check-In, which was buyer details. I feel like everybody was so stoked to hear about this. And I was wondering if you guys could run us through what buyer details is and why would it be useful to us as sellers? Like, I know my reasons for being excited for it, but give us a little case study or something of why we care about the buyer details.
I think one good thing about it, one, it highlights a repeat buyer. You're like, oh my gosh, this person came back to me and they like what I'm doing. The good one is too, if you have a store, you can then target them to a coupon or a sale very easily with I think one click even, or
Right.
Gives you better contact of your buyers. What else is in there? You know what? I
Their
sort of forget
spend,
what it
their
looks
spend,
like.
right? Like they.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. So correct me if I'm wrong. When a buyer sends me an offer, it'll show repeat buyer on the bottom. Have you guys seen that? The green repeat
Yes.
buyer. And a lot of times it just softens my heart, and I just pretty much just lay
like,
down and be like, "Oh, you guys get it for $50 off." I'm just joking. No, if it's
Yeah.
reasonable, they'll get it. But I think that's kind of how I see it, because if you bought a pair of socks, I'm not giving you $30 off sneakers. Buy another socks. I'll give you a discount on the socks.
Wait,
But
Ken,
if you're,
do they know what you say when you accept an offer?
Oh yeah. They
Jonathan
know.
knows.
No,
I
said-
forget what it is, but I
No, I did it in front of them, and it was actually a funny moment. I said, "You're kidding it." That's what I say.
That's
and then
the
it was
battle
error screen.
at eBay at San Jose.
Oh my gosh, it was.
Yeah, I thought you were setting us up to
Showing
show us
you
a
the
bug,
error
and you're
screen.
like,
And then you're like, oh
No,
no.
I was trying to show the eBay employee my reaction when I get an offer,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden it was a bug.
That was
Oh,
so
man.
funny. I do remember that now.
But
is that you're getting it like an Oprah thing? Like, you're getting a car, you're getting a car. Is that
You're
what
getting
that's
one.
for?
You're
I
getting
don't know.
one.
It was
It's a
just
little
like-
different. It's a little different.
It's a little different,
It's
but
similar vibe.
Anna experienced it. Anna experienced it while she was here. She stayed a few nights, and it's a constant thing. Like
You'll just hear it echoing from the
Yeah.
side of the building.
yeah,
and,
wherever I'm
yeah,
at, like,
it's
"You're
so funny.
kidding it," and then Jason's like, "What's sold? What's sold?"
I need a trademark saying for that too. I've been
Yeah.
accepting a lot more offers lately than I used to,
Yeah,
and it's because of
the green check, baby, right? He said the green
That's
The
check.
green
nice.
check mark.
Yeah.
the green check.
Yeah, like when
The
somebody
green check
sends
mark,
an
like
offer.
immediate payment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do look at that, but I just have turned over a new leaf in terms of
Oh.
my my mentality around.
You're kinder. You're kinder. You're more mature now, Chuck. You're more
Well,
mature.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about the data.
Yeah.
I've decided that I'm not running a storage facility. I'm running a business where I like to sell stuff.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
I know. It's a big step for me.
Wow, that is a big step as an eBay seller.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ken, this is
I mean,
mature Chuck talking.
Mature
Yes,
Chuck.
it is.
Like
I know people who will sit on an item for. I've talked to sellers who
You're
show me
talking
their
to her
account.
right now. I'm just.
I know, right? We've been talking for a while, actually. Nice
For
to meet
sure.
ya.
Yeah.
No, but I am also like very happy to accept almost any offer. So there is that. I'm not accepting
Yeah.
offers about it, you know?
Who was it? I think I saw an influencer in the reseller space that had a whole thing about letting, maybe it was like tech and sports, and he was saying, like, too many sellers he talks to will sit on that item trying to get that
Top dollar.
last
Top dollar.
penny that
Yeah.
they feel they're entitled to from the item, and he's like, "You paid $1 for the shirt. Why are you,
Yeah.
hanging on for so long? They're offering
No.
you $15. Just take it."
Chuck,
Yeah, 100%.
Chuck, and this is a feedback suggestion. So
Okay.
to help sellers to get over that hump, a lot of times, a lot of sellers, I feel like there's few scenarios. If they have a lot of items, they all of a sudden forget how much they paid for it, and if they just spent a lot of money on another item, now it feels like kind of like, oh, they're in a mood. They just spent so much. Now they feel like they have to get back so much.
They have to
So
recoup
so
their
mentality wise, right? So your mentality, and then you have a mentality of all of a sudden like, man, this guy's generous because now you're on the mood of getting rid of stuff. Maybe because that triggered, oh, you're running out of space. Now you want to give a sale. Now you want to give a better deal. So to help combat that, because like you said, it's all data. I know how much I paid for all the items I have. I'm like 5-10% off sometimes, most of the time, not sometimes, most of the time.
Sometimes.
And to help combat
I have
that,
it in my spreadsheet.
and yeah, spreadsheet, right? Another platform shows you how much you'll make after you accept this payment. But to make it better, what if we have a cost data? So if you plug it in there, I know a lot of people use the SKU system to put how much
the
they
custom
paid.
SKU.
The custom SKU. And then if a buyer sends me an offer and I see that I only paid $10 and you giving me $50 and I'm trying to get 79 and it sat for 6 months already, come on, give me the data, and it would just make me click that "you getting it" button
Yeah,
way
I like
more
that.
faster, right?
Yeah,
What do you guys
Jonathan,
say? What do you guys
have
say?
to say about cogs?
Huh?
I'll let
Cogs,
Jonathan start.
yeah, we hear that all the time. Like when I do
Cogs.
cogs. To me, I think if you're able to put that in, one, it would show up on best offers. Two, you could set up maybe better sales to say, hey, drop my price until I hit 10% profit, and then
Yep.
at that point
Yes.
delist it or something. You could like set up all these automations, and you'd know that
Yeah.
price, and you could just
Oh,
Yeah.
I like
There'd be
that, I
no
like
question.
probably better on your taxes at the year end.
Yeah.
Are you guys tracking it with other systems right now?
Yep. Currently,
I track it all. Yeah.
Just curious, do you know how many sellers do you think do track their cogs?
I think a lot in my kind of thrifting ilk don't necessarily track per item, but I have heard most people who do use the custom SKU to do it.
Yeah, a lot.
So I
yeah,
don't
a lot of
know
them do
too
that.
many other people who have just their own giant inventory database and a spreadsheet like me. Like I'm kind of neurotic about it. Most people will put it in their listing somewhere. And I think it'd be awesome to have an actual cogs field that you fill out in your listing, not just the custom SKU, but specifically for cogs. But given that doesn't exist right now, a lot of people use the custom SKU for that.
Yeah.
They add
So-
that plus other data, and I'm sure you guys have heard that a million
Right.
times.
And then maybe if we can't get that in for some odd reason that it's just a blackballed word, cost of goods not allowed on eBay. I'm just joking. I'm just creating a myth here. But if cost of good is a no word, what if we just put payout? Tell me the payout if I accept this, because a lot of times we've made a lot more features added in some people would say waste of money, aka promoted listings. A lot of people use different kinds of promoted percentage, and then especially if you're a multi-category listing, you don't know it's the different fees in each category, right?
Right. So your actual net, like,
yeah.
you don't
What if
know.
you offer me $50 and it's like you net 43, and then let's just say there's no cost of goods button, everybody uses the SKU system, and they see it $10 there, and you net 40, I'm in. $10 to $30 profit, I'm in. Or you just it just makes it easier because a lot of people they average it out, right? A lot of people, I've heard it, like everything I've spent is $10 on average. But if you keep giving me the payout, I love it. Like I geek around all the time when I look at my payout, and I was like, man, I just earned that money. But that's post, right? That's after the transaction. But for me, it's like I think that would be really cool too.
Yeah, there's no aversion that eBay has to tracking cost of goods. So, it's not like there's some fundamental reason why we wouldn't want to put that in the platform other than just that it's a figure that would be so sort of embedded in our entire back end that it would just be non-trivial to add it. Right. That said, to not just put that data in your custom SKU field, which a lot of sellers do, as you said, Anna, but to be able to actually render calculations on that number.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about profitability, and what you said, Ken, of just being able to have a running kind of, like, imagine a flow where you are able to, like, I'll give you my dream eBay flow.
Here we go. We gotta get let's do this.
It starts with best offer, right?
Okay.
And so what I'd like to have is a haggle flow where, just like if I was at a flea market and I'm having a real-time haggle with a seller.
It's like we're texting each other, right? Is that what you're saying?
We're right. And so what we're doing is we're starting at two ends of a scale and we're working towards the middle.
Right?
So to have a UI that supported that, and we have a haggle flow, and we meet up somewhere where we're both comfortable. And then while I'm having these negotiations with my buyer, I'm seeing all the data that supports my profitability changing in real time.
Yeah, and
it's showing me what I paid for the item, and therefore able to show me what my walkaway amount of money would be.
Or now that we own product research, Therapy, there's product research. Like, wait, Ken, the last 6 months, this only is averaging, median price is only 54. You're trying to ask 80. Because, we already have that. The price suggestion, we already have that. Put it in that haggling flow, Chuck. And then, you know what? Like, we're like $20 off. Let me throw in free shipping on this listing. Come on now. Now we're talking. Now you're more likely to say yes.
Sure.
And then,
because
in
the
back,
this is my dream for the future.
This
is not anything that's in the works.
Hey, we're building it. We're building
but
it.
I think
we're here as sellers to co-sign it, and with an eBay employee, we'll build it together.
Well, when we get support from sellers like you, and I can tell you for sure that our product team they're into all of this. They're super in it. They want to accomplish all these things. There's so many balls to keep in the air at eBay that it's just a matter of figuring out what's going to work best in a given timeline, how we can stagger or scale these things at a sustainable rate. So it's all going to get better and improve, and it's just going to take time. And please don't, and I'll say this to all sellers listening, don't hesitate to continue to repeat these same requests. The more we hear this message from sellers, this is important to me, this will improve my business for the following reasons. I can list faster. I can sell faster. I can make deals quicker with people. Those are all tools. It's what I call rounding the edges. And I say this a lot internally at eBay. I'm like, we need to round the edges. We have all these sharp edges at eBay that sellers get hung up on. And they may be iterating through a process that they have to do 100 times a day, like ship an item or list an item. And if you make those edges sharp, they're going to get hung up every time they go around that loop. Let's round those edges and come up with all these little things that seem a little insignificant on the surface, but they all add up to like maybe 5 minutes per day or an hour per day, or even if you save a few seconds per cycle,
or
that you
like
go through, it's
mental,
worth it.
right? Like more mental fatigue of like, oh, how much will I
Mental
pay
fatigue
out?
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like how much will I pay out if I accept this? Because sometimes when you're like, a lot of times, like when early in the morning, I love accepting offers because my brain's still fresh. Later in the road, the longer the day goes, the more complicated they get. I was like, well, but we spent gas to get here,
It's
and
true.
I
It's
took
like
a
the
snack
the
out of that
decision
budget.
fatigue like is real.
You need like an AI bot that can just like advise you, be like,
Yeah.
Ken, remember you
wanna
had to
take
drive
this.
3 cities away to get those shoes.
Yeah,
You may
that's
not
what
want to
I'm
make
saying.
that deal.
Yeah. No.
Exactly.
But that is fun. That is fun. Anna, anything else?
Yes. Well, really, there's just one more thing I wanted to cover because we sort of mentioned it earlier, but that's business policies. I have used business policies forever and I love them, but they kind of got a special spotlight at the Spring Seller check-in. And I'm not sure how much of the information was like cutting edge new stuff about business policies, except that it's way easier to reassign listings to a different policy now, which I've noticed like in my own business policies, and I think it's really helpful. But you mentioned it, I think, Chuck. You said something about business policies, and I said, we'll get back to that later. But I just kind of wanted to highlight it because a lot of people were asking, like, how to set up business policies or didn't seem to, like, really know how it worked or how to use them. So, I mean, we could just give a little lesson on business policies here if you guys want to, if that's something you hear a lot from sellers.
Yeah, I'll kick that one off, and I think Jonathan probably has some good advice there too. Well, we've recently updated the business policies UI, so the learning curve's a little less steep now. But for anyone on the fence about business policies, I would say push through the initial resistance. It's different than what you're used to. So the model without business policies is that every time you list something, you have to make decisions about your returns, about your payment, and then about the shipping method. Now the payment and the returns are probably just going to be the same every time, so you don't have to touch those. But you do have to decide what all the shipping details are for the item. And that's fine to do it that way, but by setting up shipping policies, it gives you the advantage of you can build. I have like 7 basic policies that I apply to everything. Now I do free shipping, that's my personal choice. So for me, I'm able to build about 7 that will apply to most of my listings. So my listing goes really fast. But that's not the only benefit I get. The other benefit I get is that if anything ever changes in the marketplace, like say the post office raises a rate on shipping or changes, renames an entire product from first class mail to Ground Advantage,
Right.
then it's really easy for me as a seller to go in and change that one policy and then if it's applied to 3,000 listings in my store, that instantly just flows out to all of those, and it makes the change really easy.
I like that. Before we
Jonathan,
hop,
anything to add to that?
no, before we hop into Jonathan, I'm gonna ask his advice to finish this off because I'm gonna make a grand reveal that the Hustle Bee just started using business policy 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations. Welcome to the world.
I know,
Ken.
so I'm like, I keep every time I hear that, I'm just like, I'm out of this room, and because like I've never have, right, until we start getting more different inventories that were way more complex. We had a rule that any shoes that are under $75 we charge $9.99. So that was kind of like, and then like you guys mentioned that it takes
Yeah, you already had the rules. You just
right.
didn't
It
have them
takes
in
a few
policies.
seconds to type that every now and then all of a sudden it just adds. So like now we're in the process of doing that. So okay, business policy is created, right? Bam! I click that button on, and then all of a sudden, Jonathan, 20 business policies pop up. So what can you advise for somebody that have that problem like I did? So what's your advice?
I think that I don't know the solution, but I think I mentioned it in the check-in.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I or Chuck or someone at eBay, we need to make a tutorial that's like, here's the pitfalls that could happen, because it is daunting. All of a sudden it has 20 and has 6 listings on this and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of takes. I feel like we really just need to like explain it in a video because it's hard to. I'd have to see it to even understand to talk someone through the situation they got in. But
Yeah. So what are the things? One of the things that I found out. So correct me if I'm wrong. So basically, now the newer version of the business policy is every policy you create, every line on the very far right, it shows you how many listings are included in this policy. So
Right.
what I've done is I just click that and then reassign it to a policy. And once it's zero, then I can delete that. Correct. So it doesn't build more stuff there, right?
Correct. Yeah, I think it should not start growing more, which I think in the past we may have had. You may have gone in there and like all of a sudden there's like 10 more business
Yeah.
policies, but
Mhm.
I think that is not.
Yeah,
no
it,
longer
it
happening.
hasn't grown. So now I pretty much did that and clicked that. So I think that was kind of like the only like curve, which I think is way better now than what I envisioned it to be 8 years ago when they started
Yeah,
selling.
I like that's a good. Yeah, I think just like stepping someone through like that situation where it's like, hey, this looks daunting, but just go to the ones that have 5, click on it, and then map them to another policy until you're down to like your few policies, and then
Yeah,
you're
the ones
good.
you originally created.
Right, right.
Yeah, you got to clean
'Cause-
it up every once in a while, but it's still way more efficient when
Yeah.
you're listing. I love using it to change my handling time too. Like, I want to be
Yes.
a little more serious. I'll drop it down to 1 day, and it takes me 5 seconds to do that across all my policies. And if I need more of a breather, I'll put it on 2 or 3 days. And I love having that flexibility, like, so easily.
And
Yeah, I
correct-
did it when I was like, I want to explore with local pickup, so I was able to just add local pickup to all my listings
Oh.
without
Oh,
having to
yeah.
go. They can turn
That
it
is
off
true.
if you get worried about it, but
Right. Never again.
but like
No,
yeah,
I'm
if it's the weather's bad,
Yeah.
adjust the handling time to 3, or you're outsourcing, like whatever.
Yeah.
I want to make it so more people understand it and will use it because it is like a game changer once you start that initial investment of setting it up.
no.
Yeah.
No,
I kind of wonder, like, how many like smaller sellers don't see themselves as a business, or they don't see themselves as a business person, and the term business policy makes their brain turn off. Like
Yeah.
they're just like, oh, that must be over my head. Like, that's not for me. But really, it is. It's more like a store policy, right? Like,
I agree. I think I brought that up before. It's like could it be called like my shipping? We probably have another thing that says shipping preferences, but these are like my
yeah,
listing preferences, right? I just
Yeah.
want to like set
yeah,
up
or
these-
even like your listing policies, right? Like,
Yeah.
even that might be a little
yeah,
less.
just the word policies
intimidating.
and business. feel
Yeah,
like-
Together?
it's like
Yeah,
this
you're
is
right.
so formal, right? Like I feel
Yeah.
like I need to.
You
It's
just
like
already feel like
having
you're
a
gonna get in trouble.
no. That is true. That is it. That is it. Because I always, I'm always
Are
the
getting in
person that
trouble?
tries to push the boundary and get in trouble with policy. And I've heard it so many times. But this is our policy, and I'm like.
Those
Oh
words
no,
are just
that's what it
echoing in
is.
Ken's
It's
head.
just I just get triggered by it. So
Yeah, I heard you were trying to sell blades recently.
Caught
Oh,
in the
no.
act.
oh no,
Okay.
that's what it is.
Well, I was gonna say all jokes aside, but just one more joke aside.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like we didn't do Glenn justice with his boxing match, which April Fools. He's not really.
It was
a box-
April
He
Fool's,
is a boxer.
guys.
He's not really preparing for a match, but we didn't even say that at the top of
Yeah,
the show.
but
I'm like,
but
are we just
he's
gonna
he's
let
a
that
boxer.
ride?
He's a boxer too. Yeah.
He
Oh,
is-
really?
he
So
is-
he's not
he
actually
really
preparing for
is.
the-
a
No,
boxer.
no, it was April
Okay, he is a
Fools.
boxer, but he's not like training.
Yeah,
at this
he
moment.
so he
Cutting
trains. He if you guys are familiar, he trains at 9 rounds boxing. So a lot of his workouts are boxing workouts. So, and we joke around that he's the most mellow person, but he's the boxer. So.
He's like the next Jake Paul or whatever that guy is.
Oh yeah, that should be good. Hustler Hacks versus Jake Paul. But no, this is pretty cool. Huge shout out to eBay and Chuck and Jonathan for being here. We always love chatting with this. Two of our favorite eBay employees.
For sure.
Can we say that? They're our
We
favorite.
can.
All-
we can have
all-
favorites. We're allowed.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can have like 1,000 favorites.
Yeah. all the employees that hop
This
on
isn't MySpace.
this. That is MySpace. Oh, you just revealed your age there, and
I never had a MySpace.
what's
actually.
MySpace? I'm joking. No, all kidding aside, thank you guys so much for hopping in here and sharing your thoughts and to just reiterate and show people that there are human beings behind the brand eBay, that there are
really good ones.
Yeah,
really
employees that are sellers too. So they feel our pain or some challenges that we all have to go through, and they hear it. So keep sending those feedbacks, good ideas, because there's humans behind it that are reading it and are rooting for us and pushing for all these new features that we ask. So, huge shout out to eBay again, because they are our main sponsor for this podcast. Thank you so much, eBay, and make sure you follow them at eBay for Sellers. And also our accounting software, the tool that helps us the most get to know all our numbers. Make sure you follow Seller Ledger as well. So thank you guys for listening. That is episode 71, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.
Bye.